Silver's talking. I don't know if they're going to start
Yeah.
drafting anytime soon.
Hello and welcome to a new feature that we are doing here on Raptors Report. I am Julian, and this is the co-host to the brand new Raptors Report podcast. That's right. We are starting something new. We are really excited to bring you guys some new content, a new style. We're jumping on the bandwagon. We're doing what everybody's doing, which is starting a podcast. And this will be a new type of content. I'm not going to be stopping doing other types of content. This is just in addition to that. And I want to introduce the co-host to the Raptors Report podcast, and that is Steve, AKA Stevie, AKA at Raptors Shack. You might know him from Twitter, pretty big following. I like his takes, and now you get to enjoy his takes as well. Welcome and to the inaugural episode, Steve.
Thank you, Julian. Thanks for this. I think it's pretty cool. Something cool to start.
Yeah, so let me set the stage here. We are right now watching the NBA draft, and what that means is that we are going to be doing live commentary. We're going to be talking about the draft as it happens. We are actually watching the draft right now. And in fact, the Dallas Mavericks are on the clock. And we're going to be talking about the draft in general. We're going to be talking about what it means for the Raptors. We're going to be talking about some tweets and rumors and all of that stuff and giving you our thoughts as it happens, and hopefully enjoy that. So let's start off here. Obviously, they're going to take Cooper Flag, so I don't even think we need to waste any breath.
Yeah, there's not a lot of analysis you have to really add to that.
No, we can talk about some of the rumors that the Toronto Raptors are involved with. So, I'm going to go through some of the rumors that I have seen involving the Raptors. We'll talk about what the Raptors need. So the Toronto Raptors depth chart, I'm going to attach a graphic to that. Essentially, the Toronto Raptors are very heavy on guards. They are pretty thin up front. And there have been a ton of rumors swirling around the Toronto Raptors. Notably, probably the name that has been attached to most of the trades and most of the things I've heard about, at least, is RJ Barrett. Yep. So if you're in the future right now, you will see if the Toronto Raptors trade RJ Barrett, whether they trade the first round pick. And that's a possibility. In fact, go ahead, Steve.
I feel like RJ's name has just been shopped for 12 months plus. Like not as soon as they got him, but they got him. He's played the best basketball of his career, but I don't think they ever fully welcomed him into the fold. Like there's been a lot of stuff they've done where, maybe they show, okay, this is our guys, and it's like Scotty and Quickly we're like, this is the future, and like, okay, or not promoting it for All-Star, right? Like they've always held him at almost an arm's reach, which is a bit weird for your only Toronto-born player, but
I also think that he was one of the guys that they were thinking about trading at the deadline.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the reason there wasn't a lot of all-star buzz and all-star push. I think that he was the guy that they might have been considering trading for Brandon Ingram. So it's not really a surprise that they continue to shop him. And I do like RJ Barrett. Don't get me wrong. I think that he is a good player. I think that he has done an amazing job recouping his value and rehabilitating his reputation around the league, because I think that he was seen as, we've all heard it at this point, the toxic asset label.
Exactly. Negative contract. Yeah.
And I think he's done a good job of shedding that. He had his best scoring year of his career. And so that is where he is right now. Okay, so it looks like that the pick is in for the Dallas Mavericks, and
they could do the funniest thing ever and not pick Cooper. That would be, because like they're already got pretty much rewarded for their incompetence of trading Luka, right? So
imagine Nico does that again and trades the first round pick. That would be great.
If he had a sense of humor, he would do that. It would lose him his job, but it would.
Well, I don't want to say lose him even more than that if he sticks around in Dallas, but it's probably going to be Cooper Flag. But as I was saying, maybe we'll jump back to it when the pick actually comes in and when it's announced, but. So there's a couple of trades proposals that I've seen. One of them, Derek White, they said for the 9th overall pick. And I think the unnamed player that would be leaving in that would be RJ Barrett. They play the same position. And here's the thing about RJ Barrett. Yes, he had a good year, good season. I think that in terms of what he brings to the table, A lot of it is duplicative in that they have ball handlers. They have guys who they want to have the ball in their hands. Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, and now Brandon Ingram. And I think that having a complementary player, like a plus role player, like an off-ball player, that's why I think you've seen, so obviously Derek White, I've seen Cam Johnson, his name bandied about. I've seen the Trailblazers are apparently the favorites to land RJ Barrett. I've looked at what they have, and I'm not that impressed. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could happen. But
unless Masai Ujiri still wants Matisse Thybulle in his old age, would be crazy. But those Bovada, I think it's Bovada, whatever the odds makers are, I feel like those are just for clicks, because they're always just like, they put us as one of the top to get Sabonis and stuff too, and I don't know about that one. But like if you're looking at Derek White, if you're looking at Cam Johnson, the biggest thing that they both have over RJ is defense, right?
That's a big one. And I know that RJ has helped his reputation as a shooter. He is still very much a stationary catch and shoot player who shoots off of kickouts. Okay, they're making the pick right now. And Cooper Flag. Wow. Big surprise. Okay, Cooper Flag. And I think this is a good time to get off my chest. And I'm sure you have the feeling too, just like how sus this is. I'm not saying that it is, obviously, I don't fully believe it or anything like that, but trading Luka Doncic and then getting the first overall pick, it's a deal with the devil. That's what
I don't know if you noticed, but I crashed out pretty hard on the draft lottery night because I was like, oh my God, it's fixed 100%.
I know.
Because it all worked out. And I think I had joked maybe in January, like whenever after the Luka trade happened or something like that, I was like, why didn't they just, if they wanted to move Luka, why didn't they just hold on until after the draft lottery, and then they could just trade him for the number 1 pick and get Cooper Flag? Well, they were able to just get that anyway. So
yeah, I know. And they traded him to the biggest market in the NBA. And wow, look at that. The LA Lakers got sold.
Yep.
Another wrinkle.
For a whole lot of money. Yeah.
Another wrinkle to the this saga.
There's more and more that you can keep unpacking too, of like, okay, well, their owners own casinos. There's like, oh, move it to Vegas, all this crazy stuff that people were rambling on about. But I think it's fun to entertain the idea that it's fixed, but there's a lot of ways that it could not be fixed. But
it's audited, and you just need one whistleblower to come out and spoil everything. I'd say it is. I would say that I believe in it more now than I ever have before, but it's still not, I wouldn't say it's likely, but it is so, God, like just, I mean, let's say it's not fixed. Let's say that, it's all just all above board. Adam Silver was pissed that the Mavericks got the number 1 overall pick, because he would be like, well, I mean, that is definitely how it looks to a lot of people.
Dispel any of that. I think the best argument I saw against, okay, why would it be fixed, is that they still shot for the play-in, they still tried to win, and they were a couple points away from making the play-in or whatever, advancing in the play-in, whatever it was, and then they wouldn't have had those odds. They would have been out of the lottery, and they would have completely missed it. So for it to be completely fixed from the time of the trade, it's not exactly possible.
That's very true.
I think that how I've always kind of like jokingly approached it is that it's like, they won't let certain players go to certain markets, right? But they're like, but they let Zion go to New Orleans, but it's like, okay, but they traded Anthony Davis to the Lakers and they were rewarded with the number 1 pick. It all lines up.
Yeah, but what you say about how they were almost out of lottery position, that is a perfect counter argument, and that seals it. So there you go. I mean, the amazing analysis from Steve here. Okay, so Cooper Flag has been picked. I think that there is some question marks about the next pick, and not whether they take Harper, because I think they will take Harper.
Yeah.
But it's whether they keep the pick or whether they trade him or trade back, because Harper is clearly, in my opinion, the best non-Cooper Flag player in the draft. Sure. And he is a tier above the other players. Just watching how he plays, he is one of the best downhill drivers to the basket. He is an amazing playmaker. He has great touch. He's a creative finisher. He understands the game. He plays the right way. All of that kind of stuff. Everything that you're looking for. He's a good athlete. There's a lot of really good qualities about him. But are they going to keep the pick? And I'm just going to say it right now. I think they trade the pick or trade back in the draft.
Right.
I don't think they're keeping the pick and selecting Harper and then bringing him on the team and then having him play with De'Aaron Fox
Yeah, they
and
just got Fox.
Castle.
Yeah.
I just don't think. I think if you had one of those guys, you could trade or pick Harper and then try and make it work. But with both of them, and they're both kind of like blue chip guys, like they're all really promising prospects.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's a lot of value to being able to move them, right?
Right.
Now, I mean, I've seen the argument made that it's like, okay, well, you could run Fox as the point guard, you could run Harper as the shooting guard, and you could run Castle as kind of a slightly undersized small forward. Castle can't really shoot that well, right? So I don't know how exactly that works. I mean, you've already got some stuff invested in him. It wouldn't be the worst thing for them to make the pick, because you can always make the pick, keep it, and then use that as part of a salary for a big thing. Like if they really are shooting for Giannis, the more salary that they have to put towards that is not bad, right? Because like they already have to assemble a lot. Like it's like you have to mix a bunch of contracts that Milwaukee doesn't really want to get that. So kind of adding the additional, whatever it is, like 8 mil, 9 mil, I don't know what it is now, but
it's getting big these days.
It's crazy,
it's
right?
crazy how much the top of the draft gets paid now. It used to.
So
yeah, go ahead.
He could eat 1/5 of Giannis's contract by doing that. So I wouldn't be surprised like if they make the pick. I don't think that disqualifies them from making a big move this summer with it, right?
No, that's good. That's spot on. That makes a lot of sense.
The pick is in for San Antonio.
Okay, so we'll see. I mean, I've seen people talk like the other thing against. I mean, they would have to take the only non-guard that is rumored to be in the top 5, and he has really slipped recently, is Ace Bailey. The rest, everybody else is either a guard or a small wing. And that is too, as I said, there's too much skill duplication there. Okay, so the pick is in. We'll be able to see if there is a trade. We can just going to pop around on the timeline. I'll keep Shams open just in the case there's any kind of trade going on here. Okay, Dylan Harper. There you go. Okay, so that makes sense.
He's a true lead guard, so it'll be interesting. I mean, maybe they don't intend to keep Fox.
That's another thing.
Forever, right?
That's right, yeah.
They can keep him for a year or two and still move him with value. They got him for actually relatively cheap comparatively for what you see. Like, it's not like they traded 4 firsts or anything for him, right? The deal wasn't too crazy. So, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Maybe let him develop next to Fox. And then, I mean, Dylan's perfectly on Wemby's timeline. Yeah. I don't think that's so bad. And then obviously you took the highest skill guy.
You took the highest upside guy. You took the guy with, I think, a high floor as well. I mean, the comparison I've made is Cade Cunningham. Large, number 1 guy with a lot of potential. And the issue is with their team is that I think it's just all about shooting. As you said, Stefan Castle cannot shoot yet. De'Aaron Fox can shoot a bit, but it's not a plus skill. You would preferably like to add one more shooter in the backcourt. And Dylan Harper, for all of his skill, I would say is his skill that he needs to get better at. So again, I mean, I'm sure it could work, but when it comes to team building, when it comes to assembling a team, you have to move the pieces around so that they fit with one another. So if you have too much skill duplication, it makes sense just to shuffle the deck a little bit, try and get an equal but different player that fits a need a little bit more. So I would expect them to make a trade relatively soon. But as you said, it might, if they are really going for Giannis, it would make sense to keep his salary on the books.
It doesn't hurt to stack that up. And I mean, they can move Fox for in a Giannis deal. It doesn't seem like it would make the most sense because he's kind of the more developed guy, but they could still do it. And they still have, I believe, pick 14, right? So wewe'll see what they go with that. They could end up taking a shooter there.
They traded the. I'm looking at what Shams has here. They actually traded the 38th pick in this draft for a future second. So they've removed a bunch of their.
The second round got a lot lighter with all the NIL returning guys, right?
A lot of people went back to college.
A lot of people pulled out. So like the Raptors having a pick at 39, I expect that they're going to try to make some moves away from that because 39, you're not getting much value. You need to crack into the top 30 to get certain guys that maybe would have fallen to you before. Like I think before all the returnees, you looked at, okay, maybe you could get like a big like Ryan Kalkbrenner or Hanson Yang, but now those guys are going.
Yeah, they're going a lot higher.
Top 30, right? Like, Oh, it's Ron Harper Jr., former Raptor.
I know. Yeah, that's one of the things is that he had a cup of coffee with the Raptors. He's bounced around. His dad, obviously being the Chicago Bull, won a championship with Michael Jordan, really good role player. And no surprise, I mean, it's becoming more and more kind of a Nepo baby league.
Exactly, right.
A lot of
they
guys.
got the right genes and they get all the right training. And,
there's the genes, but a lot of it is being in the basketball scene and being around and given access to training and, opportunities. I think a lot of it is just like being able to work on your game, from being a very young kid and being around that culture. Okay.
Like Steph was always on the court.
Exactly. So the 76ers are up next. This one is interesting because
very interesting.
I don't really know what they're going to do. Ace Bailey could go here.
He doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to go there.
Yeah,
I think his team already basically said, nope, not me. I think he's already told Utah. He's already told Charlotte. And I think he was just seen because he threw out a pitch at a baseball game and he was telling them to like stop chanting or something with the Sixers. He doesn't want to go there. He wants to go to Washington. He wants to go to Brooklyn. He wants to be the guy, right?
Yeah.
And whose dad? Like Sharif Cooper's dad or somebody is his agent. Somebody who didn't work out in the league, right? Like, so you wonder what kind of guidance he's getting. But I think when you look at, if you're looking, like you could sort by teams who already have max contract guys, and would be the teams that he's rolled out. So he wants to have the opportunity to hit that big max. If you're already on a team with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, you might not get that full max. Yeah. So I think it's just a long play for the money, which seems a bit crazy when that's like 3 years away.
It's true. That still doesn't take him out of the running. I think that if Daryl Morey thinks that he's, the best pick there, he is certainly the best fit because they have a lot of guards.
Yep.
The Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, even the guy,
Quinn Grimes, if they keep him, yeah.
Hey,
he was cooking at the end of the
he
year.
was really good at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so they don't need another guard. But my guy here, and I have to give myself credit here. I'll give myself a pat on the back because I was a VJ Edgecombe guy very early on. And I was like, this guy's got explosive NBA athleticism. He's the best value at this pick.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey, in my opinion, would be a better fit.
Yeah.
Okay. So
pick is in.
Yeah, pick is in.
I do think you're right. I think they go with VJ because I think they said they had a really good meeting with him. I think they met with him multiple times. I think they spoke very highly of him. So I think culture fit wise, and Maxey and McCain as a backcourt.
Yeah,
the defense is not
going
there.
to stink. Yeah,
exactly. They're going to shoot the hell out of the ball, everything, but they do need a guy like VJ.
Yeah, and his on-ball creation took a big leap as the year continued.
Yeah.
He started off as, I think people were disappointed because he was a guy that had a lot of hype around him at the beginning of the year, but he was not being featured as much. And then toward the end of the season, he started getting more reps and people started to see what he could do. And I think he has a super high upside, especially with just his defensive ability and the athleticism is for real. This guy can jump out of the gym. Okay, so the selection is coming up. VJ Edgecombe.
VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah.
It's a great pick for them.
Yeah, he's a guy I've really liked. I think that he has a ton of potential. And it's not a perfect fit in Philly. And in fact, I could see, they've got kind of a bunch of guards, and whenever that happens, whenever there's a logjam, you assume they're going to move off of one of them, and it doesn't have to be VJ. They could. I was thinking they could trade back, or make the pick for some other team. It could just be that maybe Jared McCain is out. I know that they're super high on Maxey. They love him in that organization. Jared McCain had an amazing start to the season.
Yep.
But they have not been hyping him up as much as I think that he deserves. So.
Yeah, he had that injury. I don't know how much that is going to sideline. The other thing, though, is that, I think he was he the 15th pick or the 16th pick? His salary is not that high. So to keep him and have him come off the bench is not the worst thing in the world either.
That's a possibility as well, yeah. And everybody else there is expendable. Like even Joel Embiid at this point in his career, I think they're looking past him. I don't think that he features too prominently in their future. Yeah. I think that the next generation of stars is set to emerge there. Yeah. I actually I don't like Philly very much, and the rivalry between the fan bases was toxic when that series was happening. And obviously the whole Nick Nurse saga. Okay, so here's one thing that you may not know, but there's some lore behind the Nick Nurse. I don't know how well versed you are in this, but the exact moment when he had a press conference and apropos of nothing, like they were talking about something completely unrelated, he said, maybe I'm not here next year.
Yeah.
Maybe that was people were like, wasn't it? What? Yeah. It was right after they were in Philadelphia. So, and then he goes and works there the next year. Like, this is not, unlike the conspiracy theory involving the draft, it's not a big conspiracy to imagine him having dinner with Daryl Morey and him being like, listen, you got to get out of there. Yeah. Toronto's going nowhere. We've got Joel Embiid, come and coach us next season. And then the next day he goes into work and, maybe he's a little less, he just volunteered information saying, hey, maybe I'm not here next year. Yep. Very, very suspicious.
And and because he was kind of sitting in that lame duck where he didn't have that full contract and everything, right? So that makes a lot of sense. I don't put it past Daryl Morey, that's for sure.
No, I don't put it past Nick Nurse either. The guy the guy gave, he helped the Toronto Raptors win their first and only championship. Yep. And as a result, I won't speak too negatively about him, but the guy is kind of a little bit of a double dealer. He's not all above board. You can tell there are machinations going on there with that guy.
I don't know if you've ever seen, I think Raptors Moments posted it, where it's like he's posing a picture and he's leaning on a book that has like 48 laws of power.
Yeah.
If you know anything about that book, it's like, that's manipulation. Like that is crazy.
It's like the Sun Tzu / Machiavellian rules of power.
Exactly. Of like, hate the things you can't have, like all this stuff. And it's like, all right, Nick.
Yeah, we see what's going on there. Okay, so next up, now that VJ is off the board, it's kind of, there's a lot of different prospects in my estimation that could go to Charlotte. Trey Johnson, Fears, although probably not Fears just because of LaMelo. Yeah. They could go with a big. They could go with Malawach.
Yep.
They could go with Khan
for that. I think my favorite player in that range is Trey Johnson. Yeah. But I think the player that they should take is Continental.
That makes a lot of sense.
A damn good basketball player.
Yeah.
And I think that they need some more serious, just good basketball players.
Yeah. He is, jack of all trades, master of one shooting. Yeah. But he is a really good shooter. He kind of does what you need, and he puts in a lot of effort. I don't know how high his ceiling is. That's certainly the downside with him, is that, he can't jump over a phone book. No,
but he did jump higher than Cooper Flagg.
Oh, really? At the combine?
At the combine, that's also fake in a lot of ways, but I think Cooper didn't try very hard.
Yeah, no.
Because his times and everything were not that. Because why would he have to try, right? No. But I do think I think he might get that sneaky athletic thing that white guys get sometimes, but he's built more like a fridge kind of guy. They already tried to make that deal for Dalton Connect before.
Right, that's a good point with Mark Williams.
Exactly. What they would get for Continental is kind of like
a way better Dalton Connect. Right? Younger, better defender, better playmaker.
So I think they've recognized that need for that kind of player.
That is a really good point.
I would not be shocked, but Trey Johnson's one of the best shooters in the draft.
That's right.
One of the best scorers in the draft. Would be an awesome pick for that. He's very
higher upside too.
Exactly. He's the buzz that Ace Bailey has for tough shot making. Trey Johnson should have as well. He just doesn't take as ridiculous of shots, but he's a shot maker. He's and a better playmaker. Like he's not like people compare him, like the lazy comparison is Cam Thomas because he's a bucket getter. Yeah, but he's actually a playmaker, a passer, a bit.
I really like him too. Yeah. And he can play the off-ball spot, which is like another reason. Like him and Khan, those two guys, you can play them off the ball, and they're going to get good shots from LaMelo. Okay, sorry. Yeah. You'll learn something about me is that through my clever editing on YouTube, whenever I forget a player's name, you don't see that. You don't see that part. But it's my problem in real life too. I'm always forgetting people's names. Okay, so the pick is in, and we get to see. But I think those two players probably, or they go with the big. They go with
they could surprise us and just go with Malawach because they've already decided Mark Williams isn't the guy.
That's right.
That's an upgrade over Mark Williams. You know, it's a similar big guy with a lot of upside.
And I like that fit in terms of, because imagine that pick and roll. Like that is LaMelo and Malawach would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Just because Malawach that was his plus skill is lob catching.
Yeah.
And it would fast track his development. You could get way more minutes with him on the floor if you put him next to a guy that just makes that happen over and over and over again. Exactly. And then he can learn on the fly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and also, with two guys, like Brandon Miller is a decent defender, and I think when he fully matures, he'll be a good defender. Yeah. But I think that next to LaMelo, that's always going to be something that you want. Okay, so here's the pick. Let's see.
They took Con
Knippel. Okay. So, that is a good pick.
It's, you know what? It's a mature pick for the Charlotte Hornets.
It definitely is.
You would think like maybe years ago, the most Charlotte Hornets pick would just, we'll swing on Ace Bailey and go for that. And that obviously wouldn't have been the best fit there. Yeah.
I like that pick for them. I think that it's as you said, it brings a guy into the locker room. He's easy to coach. I think that this is like a huge win for him. Yeah. And he had to take a back seat to Cooper Flagg for the majority of this season, except in certain instances where he, in that one tournament where he got to be the number one guy. But he had to kind of sacrifice in order to be on that Duke team. Lots of mouths to feed, not just the starting guys. There's a couple of guys off the bench and
Proctor had a lot of usage.
Tyrese Proctor and let's just say there's a lot of players on that team that needed or wanted the ball, so he had to play a secondary role. But the guy can hoop, so I'm pretty. I like that fit for him, and he's going to help them. I think the problem though, low ceiling. Yeah, the guy is not. I don't think he'll ever make an all-star team. I think if he maxes out his potential, the comp that I had was Devin Booker. And Devin Booker, not a superstar athlete. Yeah. His plus skill is shooting. Yeah. There's a bit of playmaking there as well, but definitely an off-ball player. Yeah. And just depending on how his trajectory goes and whether he really reaches his full potential, maybe that's a comp that I could see. But I think, John Shire did a good job with Duke and making sure that everybody got a chance to shine and look good. I mean, like, you have 3 lottery picks on the same team. That's amazing recruiting, number one.
Very much so.
And number 2, putting them in an opportunity to show what they can do. Like, he was able to do both of those things. So, fantastic job by him. And congrats to Con Knippel. If you told me even a month ago, Con Knippel's going top 5, I would have said, you're smoking crack. There's
for real. No, exactly.
There's no way this guy is going top 5. But the more it approached and the more buzz that came up out of it, I think a lot of people talked themselves into it.
A lot of people just had to watch more tape and go, okay, hold on. Okay, ignore the weird name. Okay. Yeah.
The funny thing, there was I read his Wikipedia page and I really liked the little thing that they did on his dad, who was apparently part of a men's 3-on-3 team with his brothers. They called them the Flying Knippel Brothers. And I was like, that is just how does that even happen? Yeah.
And it just showed like his whole family and his like 5 brothers, and they're all K names like Cash, Kroger.
Yeah, just as long as their middle name doesn't start with a K.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that like what I said about him is that if his face looked like Cooper Flagg's face, people would be saying, "Oh yeah, this guy's a killer."
Honestly, it's so true.
He looks too friendly. He looks like a guy who's going to help you with your homework or something.
Yeah, exactly.
He's too nice looking. He doesn't look like a baller, but he can play. So good for him. Yeah. And
Utah pick is in.
Oh yeah, the Utah pick. Let's talk about who they're going to pick. Trey Johnson, maybe.
I think Trey Johnson.
I think Fears. It could also be Fears.
It could be.
I don't think they go with another big.
They've drafted several guards over the years, but usually later. Like, I've been pretty critical of Utah's rebuild because they kept getting 10th pick, 8th pick, and then they would pick Cody Williams. Yeah, mistake of a draft pick. But they've fired a lot of those members of their draft team.
Their scouts.
They've reset those scouts, right? So I think they need a bucket getter. They need a guy like Trey Johnson. I don't think they can go wrong with that. Fears would be great, lead guard. But then, like, what do you do with Isaiah Collier, who I don't know. Like a lot of people,
your
like,
Canadianness is showing through because
Yeah,
you're pronouncing
Collier.
it like the way that probably the ancestors of
Right.
that name pronounced it. But in America,
It's
you got to
Collier.
pronounce all of your consonants. So
Collier.
Collier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Collier. But here's the thing is that none of their guards are good enough to say, I'm going to pass on a guy who's got it. And
it's true.
I think fears he could be there. I don't think they're taking Malawatch.
No, yeah. They've been trying to move Walker Kessler for forever, but they don't need a big. They picked Ace Bailey.
Oh, wow.
He didn't even. Did he say he didn't want to go there? No, I don't think he said he didn't want to go there.
There were rumors. Yeah, it was. He did not want to go to Utah.
Okay.
But he should thank his
surprised.
lucky stars that he didn't drop out of the top 10.
Yeah.
Because the guy was his agent was going crazy, talking nuts.
Yeah.
And so the Jazz go with a boomer bust guy here, which I think is fine. I mean, if you are in the beginning of a rebuild, which honestly, let's be honest, they are not even close to exiting the rebuild.
Exactly. They're a couple years in, but yeah, they're still on their way out. They're still in. Let's just try to get as much talent in the door. So I get a high talent guy. Ultimately, I like the pick. I guess I was just surprised because I did expect him to continue sliding for a bit.
Yeah, I thought so too. I get it. And at the same time, I think that he needs, no matter what his agents and what he thinks he needs, I think he needs to learn how to play basketball.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he's going to learn how to do that in a rebuilding atmosphere. And
I think he's going to get all the shots he wants. You know, the one thing I was actually excited about, because I was like, okay, so if he goes to Washington, what they did was, like, Chris Middleton just picked up his option.
Yeah, they got some vets there.
And if there's a guy that I wanted, like, I originally thought the best person that he could learn from would be somebody like Brendan Ingram, because I think Brendan Ingram is his 80th to 90th percentile outcome.
Yeah,
right? I don't think of him as necessarily Durant, right?
No,
I think of
he's
him
too
as
small
more,
for that. Yeah,
yeah, right. So a guy like that, great to be under your wing. But I don't think it's too bad to be under a guy like Chris Middleton. I think you can learn a lot from him. But who does the Jazz have like that?
They've got Lowry Markkanen. They've got Colin Sexton.
Yeah.
The sixth man
Collins,
Clarkson.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Middleton, Smart, Olynyk, they know how to play, right? And they were at one point, cogs in either championship level teams or close to it. So I don't love this fit for either side. And I get it. He plays a position where they're weak, which is a large wing. They've got Lowry Markkanen, who is similar, like he's a power forward, right?
And he's very much off ball. He's very much catch and shoot.
Yeah.
I think somebody like, personally, I think Lowry's pretty overrated. I think if you're a 6'11" guy, you don't really rebound. He's never averaged over 2 rebounds a game or 2 assists per game.
Yeah.
He's an off ball player, which is great, but I wouldn't pay $50 million a year for it. But yeah, I think that they can play next to each other. I think that fit would be fine. You run Ace at the 3 and you have Lowry play the 4. I think that's okay.
Yeah. Also, who's going to be making him better? Like if you have an on-ball or off-ball large wing, that guy, let's be honest, the NBA is so different than college. Your moves are not going to work right off the bat. It's better if you have somebody who can set the table for you. And
Collier can pass.
He can
passed
pass.
John Stockton's assist record, but he also had like the highest turnover percentage in the league.
I'm not a huge fan of Collier.
No, he also had one of the lowest true shooting percentages in the league. Like, I think he's. Yeah. I don't see him as a lead guard. I don't see him as continuing forward as a lead guard, right? So yeah, it's a good point. Who's setting the table for him?
And is he going to be able to? The other thing that where I see his ceiling being very high is his defense. I think if he commits to defense and if he is coached up and put in positions and earns playing time by being able to play defense, he can be a valuable player.
Yeah.
But if he's just getting trotted out there every game, rain or shine, good or bad, the guy is not, maybe he doesn't get that fire lit underneath him. Like,
Jason, some bad habits easily.
I know that Jason Tatum and Kawhi Leonard, like they came into the league with that defensive reputation and the coachable reputation, and they still had to earn their minutes. They still had to like put in their dues. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they're going to be able to, develop him the right way. I think that he needs more structure.
Yeah.
Just judging by, I've seen this story play out many times in the past where a guy does not hit his ceiling because he's not in the right environment. And is Utah going to be the right environment for him? I don't know. So who's up on the board here?
Washington is up, and I think that since Ace has already gone, I think this is Fears.
Yep, it could definitely be Fears. They've got Bub Carrington, who I like a lot.
I really like as well, exactly. Yeah. I was hoping for him at the 19th spot for the Raptors last year, but they made some moves. They moved Denny Avdia, and they're obviously very high on him to move Denny for that. So, yeah, I think Bub will continue to develop and could...
I think you can play them with one another, though, because Bub is a larger guard.
Yeah.
And Fears, I think, when he wasn't like an amazing shooter last year, but I think that his upside as a shooter is pretty good. So I think that that's a pretty decent bet.
Yeah.
I don't think that they go with Malawach. I know that there are a lot of people. Sar, and I did a whole thing on Jonathan Gavoni's, him and Jeremy Wu did a fit versus, value pick.
Right.
And they went back and forth. They each did a different draft. And he said that Malawach would be a good fit next to Sar. And I was like, no.
No, I think that like somebody like Queen is a good fit next to Sar.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I don't think Malawach is, because Sar did pretty decent defensively, but he couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
He similar to Collier, he had one of the worst true shooting percentages in the league. He's a 7-footer.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty crazy to me. That's kind of a clogged front court, if anything. So yeah, I don't see Malawach there. Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think that he said like a Twin Towers setup or whatever. I'm like, you gotta, I think for Sar to reach his upside, I think he's got to play as a center.
Yeah.
I don't think that I don't think you want him faffing about at the power forward spot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like there are other guys, like the comparison I made was Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
Where Brook Lopez, when he started his career, he wasn't a great rebounder. He was
not really
kind of a skill player. Yeah. So, okay, let's see what it is.
Trey Johnson. Oh, I forgot he was still on the board. Of course. That's a good pick.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Trey Johnson. Okay, so they go with the off-ball guard. That makes sense. We were talking about Fears, but...
I think he instantly becomes their best scorer. They moved Poole.
That's right. That was the real thing, and that was the reason why I think like that they might have read the tea leaves and known that Trey Johnson was going to be there for them at the 6th spot, and they just got off of Poole's contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Trey Johnson, I like Trey Johnson. As you said, he's like a really good shot maker. And I think that in terms of assembling a team and creating the core, like the nucleus for a team moving forward, if you believe in Sar at all, you're going to want to have shooting around him. And having an off-ball player, if you really believe in Bub Carrington, those two are, this is a great complementary pick. And I think it's in the right range too. So I do like this pick. It might be talent-wise. What were you going to say? Sorry.
So my dog's barking. Just give me a second.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
You can keep going on.
Yeah. Let me take over. I'll cook here for a second. In terms of skill, I don't necessarily think that he's like a superstar in the making. I do think that he has relatively high upside. Anytime a player can shoot the ball like he can and come off of screens and nail shots, you can give him the ball and he can score high degree of difficulty shots. You're going to have a decently high upside, but I don't necessarily think he's going to get there. I don't think that is, he's going to be a guy that is an all-star in his career, but we'll have to see. I think that it's a good pick. I don't mind the pick. I don't know if 6, like him and Con Knipple, I don't know if they are going to, like, they're going to live up to that billing, like a number 4 overall pick, a number 6 overall pick. I think they're going to be solid players in the league, and I think that they have a skill set for the NBA, although I don't know if they are like star potential players. So it'll be interesting to see how he and Bub Carrington complement one another.
Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely get the touches. Like, it's great. I think obviously that's why Ace Bailey probably wanted to go there, because he will get the usage. He'll probably get 17, 18 shots a game. And if he can continue shooting like he is, I mean, he'll have a chance to make a run at Rookie of the Year, right?
Yeah.
So I think it works out for Washington. They still have a lot of holes to keep filling. I think they're going to continue tanking. I think, next year's draft is great. So decent value at this spot. But like you're saying, yeah, it might not, ultimately when you look back, it might not.
He might be an also ran. Like a guy who, is fine.
Yeah.
But there is going to be some players after him that are going to end up having better careers.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the Raptors. So there's no real surprises. There's no slides that I'm seeing where I'm like, oh boy, I can't believe that this player's still on the board. Could the Raptors still draft him? Everything is kind of going the way that most people thought. Like even Ace Bailey, people thought maybe he would slide. He didn't.
Yep.
And next up on the board is Brooklyn Nets. Oh, sorry, excuse me, the Pelicans.
Yeah.
And the Pelicans are interesting because they have holes at 2 of the spots that are still, like, there's still good prospects at both.
Yeah.
So do they want a big? Because they've got Yves Missy, who had a decent rookie campaign, I would say.
Yep.
And then they don't really have anybody at the point guard position.
Apart from Jordan Poole, who this trade.
Oh, my God. How could I forget?
Depends on how high you are. Now they've got DeJounte recovering from his injury. So he's gone for the year, probably most of it.
Yeah, I don't even figure him into the math because I'm not a fan of him at all. But I totally forgot about Poole because, that just happened.
That just happened, right? So when they made that trade, I got excited because I was like, if they're high on Poole, maybe that means that they are taking it big. And maybe that means that Fears could continue dropping.
Right.
But I don't see Fears really dropping past Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like if I were to get excited for it for Toronto, I don't see him really passing Brooklyn.
No, because Cam Thomas, like, yes, he likes to dominate the ball, but he is a scoring guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Fears is a point guard. Like, yes, he's also more of a scoring guard too, but you would want, like, I could see those two being in a backcourt, although the problem would be the defense. Like, they're both smaller guards. Yeah. So who knows? But yeah, Common Malawach is the probable pick now that they've gotten Jordan Poole, but they could go off the board. They could go with Derek Queen.
Yep, they could.
They could. But I mean, if they're committing to Zion, you're going to want defense, right?
Yeah.
Derek Queen is not exactly the guy that springs to mind when like you'd have 2 large bodies.
Yeah. They get some funny nicknames out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And for Derek Queen's sake, I hope he stays away from the food in New Orleans, because I think that's been part of their problem.
That is a very good point. So yeah, expecting Common Malawach, but who knows? Maybe they Collin Murray-Boyles. I could see them going with Collin Murray-Boyles. I like him. But the pick is in. Malawach is a guy I would like on the Toronto Raptors, so be kind of disappointing if he went off the board.
They went Fears.
They went with Fears. Okay.
Fears. Okay.
Wow. Okay, so I predicted that, but when you said Jordan Poole, I was like, okay, well, maybe they won't pick him up.
Yeah. I don't think Poole should honestly stop you from drafting the point guard that you want, honestly. Right?
Poole is like, I see him maybe as a 6th man type.
He was great as a 6th man on the Warriors.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That was great. And then they let him run his own team, and the ESPN guys went crazy. They're like, oh, he might get 30 points a game just because blah, blah. No, didn't even come close.
With that said, he did an okay job of redeeming himself. It seems like Kuzma was the issue with that Washington team, because the vibes immediately improved. Improved after Kuzma left. And Jordan Poole actually looked like a competent NBA player, which is why I think they were able to get off his contract. Yeah. But Fears was the guy I expected them to pick prior to this, just because he is a point guard that I think you would want next to a guy like Zion Williamson. And if Poole is the guy that they start, Jeremiah Fears can come off of the bench and, play a substantial role for them.
He's got so much time. He's 18.
Yeah, and they've got Herb and they've got a bunch of exciting young players that he will be able to play next to.
Exactly. Like I saw a lot of people being like, oh, he's small, he won't be ready, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's 18. If it takes him 4 years to get ready and he starts at 22 years old.
Yeah. If you've got the runway,
yeah,
just give it a shot. I think that in terms of upside, he has one of the highest upsides in the draft. And as a guy who can create his own shot, like in the tournament, and leading up to it, there were some games where it was just, he took over. He just completely took over the game and sort of willed his team, if not to victory, to a really, he impressed me is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And I don't mind this pick at all. I actually kind of like it for them.
Yeah.
So Malawach is still on the board. And I'm going to say right now, I don't think Brooklyn goes for Malawach.
I don't think so either. So Malawach might be available for the Raptors.
He could be. And that was, Malawach has been the guy who the Raptors have been attached to. Just all the pundits have been talking about him with the Toronto Raptors for a long time now. So that would kind of make sense. But Brooklyn, I feel like Brooklyn is in a mode where they have all these picks, and I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger this offseason. I think maybe they might keep their powder dry until maybe a big name, maybe a non-Giannis name emerges, and they have some guys to put around him. Because right now it's the cupboard is almost completely bare. They've got Cam Thomas, and they've got the other Cam Johnson, but they don't really have a guy that you would feel comfortable putting next to a superstar player. You don't have the framework to bring that guy in. So what I'm thinking they're going to do is I think they're going to go with Derek Queen.
Okay.
Because he can get buckets. The guy can get buckets. The runway will be clear. He will just be able, you're going to get him to go out there every game, and he will just be able to put up stats. And he is a guy, I'm not a big fan of his for the Raptors because of, I just don't like centers. And I think he is a center that don't play defense. Yeah.
And I think he, size-wise, almost has to be a 4 at that point.
Yeah.
And so if you should be a center, but you're kind of forced into be a 4, especially with the Raptors, then you're a backup 4, which should be great on the bench, but
that's not what you want with that pick.
Yeah, I think I like him for Brooklyn. It gives them a different kind of offensive hub,
right? And a guy in the front court that can cook. They don't have that. I think plugging Malawach into Brooklyn, I think his bust potential goes way up.
For sure,
because he's gonna be kind of naked out there. There's not gonna be a guy remember how I was saying LaMelo would be a great guy to have next to him because he's gonna feed him. He's gonna be able to eat off of those lobs. Who's gonna do that with Brooklyn?
Yeah,
Cam Thomas isn't doing that.
He's gonna be responsible for everything on defense.
Right. Yeah, and that might be too much for him.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't like that. I don't like Malawach, probably the best value pick, but I just don't like that fit for him. Yeah. I think Queen, when there's just nobody in the front court who's going to be taking touches away from him, he's going to be able to go nuts and he might win Rookie of the Year, even though I'm not his biggest fan. Yeah. So we'll see. They still have Nick Claxton. I don't think they should be making any decisions based on Nick Claxton. I thought that Nick Claxton, was going to be a lot better than he has been. He's kind of been disappointing to me, at least.
Yep, and I think the idea of Nick Claxton is better than what Nick Claxton is now. I think their time to move him was maybe a year or two ago when there was still some kind of mystique and some upside. And he's had some the one game against the Raptors where he just randomly crashed out, threw a chair pad on the floor. I don't know what I remember.
And he seems like he has some motor issues. When he's locked in, I remember a couple of years ago, he demolished the Raptors.
Yeah.
But that was that was pre-Pirtle when they were playing without a center. And so he kind of went nuts.
Yeah. Okay, so
the pick is in.
And I got it spoiled 1 second before it, but I'll wait.
Okay.
Pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah.
But I do see a chance for them with their picks trading Claxton to Phoenix. If they can trick Phoenix that Claxton could be their center of the future. If they could package 19 and 24, whatever it is, and Claxton for 10, because Phoenix has 10 now. I could see that happening.
All right. Okay, so the pick is in. Okay, why don't you just tell me, because I'm looking at the broadcast here.
Yegor Demin.
Egor Demin. I actually liked Egor Demin in terms of like at 9, maybe when more players were off of the board.
Yeah, I feel like they could have traded back if they really wanted him, but they seemed really excited in their little war room. I think they just like him.
Yeah. Here's the thing is that I think Demin has one of the highest upsides in the draft.
Yeah.
I was not high on him until I got to watch him more, especially in the tournament. In the tournament, he had a bunch of really good games. And he's not a stats guy. Like if you are just reading the stat sheet, you maybe come away a little unimpressed. But he's huge. Yeah. People don't get like how big this guy is. Yeah. Like he is like 6'10".
He's like Franz Wagner size.
Yeah.
With a bit more passing.
Yeah. He's more of like, people compared him to Josh Giddey, which and on the court, Josh Giddey on the court. But that would be considered an insult like a year ago. But he's also kind of rehabilitated his on-court.
Yeah, he had a great second half of the season with Chicago there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the kind of very large guard who isn't a very good shooter. Yeah. That is, it's an intriguing value proposition.
But he can be their table setter going forward. I think he would work well with Cam Thomas if they're keeping Cam Thomas.
Right.
Who can provide some of the shooting. Okay. It's interesting. It feels like a reach, but I think it kind of works for them.
It is a reach, but, you know, I don't think it's preposterous. So, well, I mean, guess who's still on the board for the Toronto Raptors?
There's so many options at this point. But
Collin Murray-Boyles, Noah Senge, Collin Murray-Boyles. I'd be happy with all of those. Carter Bryant. I'd be happy with a lot of picks here. So we'll have to see. Oh, boy.
If you were to go off of what they said about maybe we wouldn't take a center and expect him, whatever, but they just throw smoke screens out like crazy. So, and maybe they're not expecting Common to be around.
It's true. It could be that they didn't expect Common to drop to them. And also the thing about Collin Murray-Boyles and why I kind of like him at this pick is that they have Yak, and Yak is a starting caliber center. You don't have to have Collin Murray-Boyles come and start for you. You don't need to do that. You can bring him off the bench and he can learn. Yeah. And the Toronto Raptors have always done that with their prospects. Very few, only like Scotty Barnes in recent memory, have started and been expected to be a star from day one. All of the other guys were brought along. Yeah, and so I would like that. Collin Murray-Boyles, I would say number one. CMB, Collin Murray-Boyles, I would say is my number 2. And then probably, I like Noah Senge. I like...
I think there's a lot of upside there. Very young.
Collin Murray-Boyles falling down, kind of an interesting storyline here. He was
getting mocked as,
he had a horrible tournament, maybe just the last game of the tournament. The other games he was okay. Providing, rim protection and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so Collin Murray-Boyles had a really bad end to his college career. Yeah. That last game, he was a ghost. Yeah. And it's really his first year of playing like high-level competitive basketball. Like he did play in the Olympics a little bit, and he did play in Basketball Africa. But the thing is that this is all very new to him. And I think that we should give a little grace. Yeah. And the other thing is that he is like a freak of nature. Like he is absolutely massive. So I'm just, I'm okay with picking him. And I think that it's going to be hard to turn down Murray-Boyles at this pick.
They went to the last 10 seconds to make the pick, which I don't know if that necessarily means they were taking calls for trade backs, but that's kind of what makes you think, or at least they were maybe arguing.
That's
sometimes
interesting.
They go along, but I've seen it tick down, and I'm like,
that is crazy. So we'll have to the Raptors. Raptors pick is in. So very excited here to see who the Toronto Raptors decide to go with.
Just go completely off board and go like Joanne Berenger.
Oh God, please don't ruin this. Oh man. Don't worry. It's just the future of the franchise is hanging in the balance here. There's no reason to be too dramatic about it. Okay.
Collin Murray-Boyles looks emotional. I don't know why.
Collin Murray-Boyles.
He just looks nervous. Okay. At first it looked like he was emotional, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah. So any of those three, Noah Essengay, Common Malawach, Collin Murray-Boyles, I'd be fine with any of those guys.
Yeah.
Who do I not want them to take? I don't want them to take Derek Queen.
No, I definitely not at 9. I think he is sliding. You know what? For a while I was like, please nobody mock Kasper Jonas to us. But the more I watched the tape, I was like, okay, you know what? He's a good table sitter. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I came around on him, which I think a lot of people did.
Kasparis would be like a bench guard with this current team.
Yeah.
And they'd probably have to make some room because they have a lot of guys who are in that. Okay, so here we go. Pick is in. Adam Silver. Give me some good news here. Oh!
What a pick. That's
Collin Murray-Boyles. Hell yeah.
That's good.
This is the guy that I have been singing the praises of for a very long time.
Yeah.
You can go back and look on Twitter. Just search the name. I have been hyping this guy up, saying that he is the dude.
And if you go through the big boards of the guys who are really locked in, like real draft sickos, they've got him in that second tier. They've got him in the top 5. They got him top 4. That's I think some people were worried because they were like, oh, he's a do everything guy. What is he, just a shorter Scotty Barnes? It's like, what, is that a bad thing?
Yeah, exactly.
How is that a bad thing?
Oh no, we've got two like really valuable forward slash centers.
Yeah. So that answers the question of if they're going to trade, at least for now, because you can always trade the person you pick, but I think they like him. And congratulations, Bobby Webster. Good smokescreen.
I love this pick. I love this pick.
Oh, that's great.
I am just very, very pleased. I think that he is a guy that can do a lot. He has so many different skills. He is a great scorer, great passer, really good defender. He knows how to play. Okay. Yeah. He really knows how to play, and he's got great touch. And he is a player that I think gets it and is going to make a difference. So I'm very happy with this. Yeah.
If there's one thing, like a lot of people stressing out, okay, what's it going to be? I'm like, if there's one thing I can trust the Raptors to do, it is to draft in the lottery and to draft successfully in the right player. And I think they've done that. That is great.
Sorry to everybody who's watching the podcast right now, and maybe even Steve. I'm just celebrating on Twitter right now. I'm just posting some stuff here, so you'll have to excuse me because we are doing this live. We have to react to what the Toronto Raptors are doing. I am really hyped up here. I'm so happy. Okay, amazing.
That's great. And then you can tell the people that are not locked in who are saying, what the hell?
Yeah.
Who the heck is this? Because they've just been looking at, common, whatever, but like, the kind of reported interest.
People are saying that his reaction was that he shook his head and said the F word.
No way.
Yeah. He'll learn to love it here.
I they try to read into a lot of that, and it might not be exactly what they think that is.
Yeah. So they're just interviewing him. And is that who is that standing next to him? Is that his dad? No, there's no way. That just must be his teammate. There's his girlfriend and I guess his agent. I am so let's talk about Collin Murray-Boyles, because like this is kind of what this whole podcast is about. Like it's been leading up to this moment. And of course, like we're going to be talking if there's any trades or anything that come after this. I think they're going to keep the pick. That's what Jonathan Givony is saying. Jonathan Givony says the Raptors are keeping Collin Murray-Boyles, a source told ESPN, despite considerable interest from teams trying to trade up for the pick. Hello, why do you think that's the case? This was a smokescreen. This guy knows how to play. This guy really, 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 really knows how to play. When you watch him on both ends of the court, he knows where he is supposed to be, especially on defense. So he's a good perimeter defender. He can move his feet. He's got active hands. He can pick guys up on the perimeter. And he's also good at protecting the basket as well. Maybe not top in the class because he's a little small, but he knows how to, he wants to help out around the basket. He's a good rebounder. He can handle the ball. He has amazing touch. He's one of the best finishers in college basketball. And he's a great playmaker. He just, like, if you watch the tape, the guy is a pro. He is going to be in the league for a very long time. And I think, like, here's the thing, is that where does he play? That would be the main concern I think a lot of people would have with Collin Murray-Boyles is, like, he can't shoot. Okay, that's a problem. And he's a little on the small side. I think he is like kind of like how Draymond Green can play center in certain lineups. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think that he's going to come off of the bench for the Toronto Raptors as a backup 5 for the time being. In the long term, I think he can play small ball C. And I think people are going to be very pleasantly surprised about what he does on the court, which is a ton. All of the stuff that isn't shooting, the guy is doing. And he's a good rebounder. He's like, he is just a really, really solid player. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm dominating the conversation.
No, it's okay. I just, I got to run my dogs out. They're barking. So I just got to jump out.
Okay. So, sorry, small break there. Steve had to run his dogs and we were just both very overcome by the Collin